if you're looking to get into a gallery, or if you have, or if you see, if there's a gallery that you're interested in, or a gallery approaches you, talk to somebody else on their roster, or at least 2 to 3 other artists that gallery represents. Ask them, point blank, how are they to work with? How are they, how soon do they pay you if they sell something? How do they promote your work? Because I'm telling you, I've been burned by so many bad galleries. I mean, and most of them are out of business now. A lot of like bad crooks. Um, there were some crooks that had a gallery here in San Antonio that were running kind of a fraud game, and really burned a lot of people, including me. Um, but there's several out there. I mean, and of course there are some great galleries out there, some really good gallery owners. Um, you know, they have it tough too, because rents are going up like crazy. So most of these galleries, the increased rents are difficult. Um, a lot more artists are selling directly because of social media, so they're not making as much money because of that. So there's a balance for them. Um, and I've made pretty good friends with 1 or 2 of the gallery owners that I work with, and it's important to establish that kind of relationship. And I approach things like, because 9 times out of 10, collectors want discounts when they come in and buy, because they know they can, unless you're a completely hot selling artist and no one's going to even touch your work, unless it's up for auction, or if it's for sale by draw. Then you're in a whole different seat, which I'm not in that seat yet. So most of the work that I sell out of a gallery, you know, goes out at a discount, because collectors know they can do that. They do it with most work that sits in a gallery. They'll come in and they'll be like, would you take 10% less for this or something like that? So I always just price accordingly. So I work that into a price. And sometimes somebody will call, one of the galleries will call me like, hey, we got this guy, this is what he offered. 9 times out of 10 these days, I would rather move the painting and sell it and get it out, versus just letting it sit. Back when I first started out, I was a lot more stubborn about that kind of thing. And it did me no good, because the gallery doesn't like it if they can't make the sale and you're being stubborn. And of course, B, it's, money out of your pocket. So, I mean, and because back then everything I painted, I thought was just like, oh, I'll never be able to paint this again. And this is a relic. And it's like, but these days I'm just like, get it done, just out the door. Um, I mean, I put a lot of love and thought into my work, but it's not as precious to me as it used to be. Which is another reason I stopped painting my family members. Because I used to paint my wife and kids a lot, and I couldn't sell any of that stuff because I didn't want to, So, but that's what I had at the time, and I was putting in the galleries, and they're like, well, we got this, somebody wants to buy this painting of your wife and child, but they only want to pay, 30% less. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to sell that for that. So that's the other rub, is like, pick something that, pick a genre and subject matter that you can paint, that you're not really attached to, in the sense of like, it's near and dear to your heart, and you can't make that, because it's, at the end of the day, it's business transaction. This is, you're making a widget and you're selling it for this price, and that person wants that widget for the wall. But if if that widget is like, looks like one of your family members that you don't want to give up, probably not something you should be doing in a business transaction, unless you can just completely let go and, like, so